Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Ballpark. As always, I'm your host, Patrick Moran, alongside Brendan Cunningham. For this one, we'll be recapping everything that's happened in the postseason so far. There has been a ton of action just to break it all down, recap some series, and we're already in the championship series. We got those matchups. We got the Mariners and the Blue Jays. We have the Brewers and the Dodgers. Those are the four teams left. So there's been so much just action and excitement going around this postseason. But first, Brendan, how are you doing before we dive into all that?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it was a quick exit for the Red Sox, which was disappointing. I said before this, like 2 weeks ago, that I just want the Red Sox to beat the Yankees. They went one game, but that was it. So that was kind of disappointing. But I'm feeling good about the Pats, so that's good.
Yeah, you do have the Patriots to enjoy right now for football season. 4-2. I mean, Drake May has been that guy. I'm sure that's exciting to see. Kind of the guy after Brady a little bit.
Yep,
So,
it's been high.
yeah, it's been good.
How about you? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Not sports wise, but it's okay. The Ravens are just imploding, just like the Orioles. So, trying to deal with that, trying to cope, and you know, at least I can get excited about the Commanders. They're playing well. It's all good. Jaden Daniels here too. So, yeah, we're it's just the sports world is a roller coaster, no doubt. That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
It is. Yeah. But let's get into these postseason series. We'll start with the AL wild card. How about that? Um, I think we'll just get the pain out of the way. This was the
Mm,
most emotional series probably on the podcast. It was the Red Sox and the Yankees. Um, this was quite the series. It went 3 games. Red Sox they won the first game, and then the Yankees took the next two, and they moved on to the ALDS against the Blue Jays. Really, just the AL East part of the bracket right there. But yeah, it was tough. I mean, Garrett Crochet absolutely cooked in that first game. 11 strikeouts. His last pitch of the night was 100 miles an hour. He threw 117 pitches. It just went Crochet to Chapman, and the Red Sox were able to win that. And then the Yankees came back. They took the next two. Cam Schlittler dealt in Game 3 with his 8 inning, 12 strikeout performance, and of course the Yankees moved on. So, Brandon, we'll go to you first. I mean, this had more emotional attachment to you than me, but what were your just overall thoughts and takeaways on the series?
Um, just game one, I was feeling real good. Garrett Crochet, and he's one of the best pitchers in the game. There's no doubt about that. No hate towards him. He did all he could, but just everybody else just fell apart. The lineup just wasn't good enough. That's kind of the bottom line. I mean, you got like three guys I really like in this lineup, like Duran, Story, Bregman. That's kind of like, I mean, like Nate Lowe was our sixth hitter. It was just St. Raphael's batting five. It's ugly lineup. It's not good. And then the defense was just awful, awful, awful. Duran making errors in left field. There was some errors in the infield in game three, and game two. That just didn't help out our pitchers at all. And Slittler just shut us down, and it was hard to watch. Of course, I watched the whole game in pain, but it was terrible. I think they need to make some real changes this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of save Yankee talking points for the next series because, they went on to lose against the Blue Jays. So we could really more so focus on the Red Sox. Uh, I tend to think about, what if some guys were healthy for this Red Sox team? You think about, Roman Anthony with that oblique. Like, what would that have looked like in the lineup if he was there? Tristan Casas, if he was able to play a full season at first base, you would kind of avoid, the Nate Lowe situation that you talked about. Um,
Yeah,
Lucas Giolito probably would have gone game two if he wasn't hurt. That changes things, pushes Brian Bayo back a game. The Red Sox certainly had some contributors go down that didn't help, but yeah, it's like you said that it kind of felt like they thinned out with the depth pretty quickly, and that was ultimately the fall or the Achilles heel of this Red Sox team. So hopefully, like you said, changes will be made. What are you kind of looking for in the offseason for the Red Sox to potentially do?
I want I want a big bat, man. I'm not sure Casas is the guy. I'm not sure he is. I think there's a hole at first base. I don't love Casas. You know,
Okay,
could we bring back a guy like Schwarber? Does the front office want to spend that money? I don't know. That'd be my target though.
interesting.
We need
Would
a
you want
big
to
bat.
bring back? Would you want to bring back Bregman? Because it sounds like he's going to opt out.
Is he really gonna opt out?
I think so. I think that
He's
was
getting
the
paid like
sound.
40 million.
Yeah, but what if he wants that long term contract?
Yeah, I'd love to bring him back. I think he's just a great piece. Defense he's incredible. The bat, it was hot at the start of the year and it kind of cooled off towards the end. I'd like to get him back, yeah.
Okay.
But
Now,
it's about the progression of guys like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer.
it's true.
I
Yeah,
want to see those guys.
that's a good point. And you said that Casa is kind of expendable. Do you think that he is, trade piece, or what could happen there?
I'd like to trade him. I just feel like
Okay.
and maybe, I don't think Durant is off the table. He's not untouchable.
Yeah.
I
It's,
wouldn't mind trading Durant.
so kind of a shakeup is what you're communicating
That's what I'm
for this
proposing.
team. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, Probably get some pitching in there as well. I would say like I think the Red Sox have some good young arms, um, but I think it would help to get fortify that front end of the rotation. Take the pressure off the rookies, and we could see what would happen there. I mean, there were a lot of pitchers available this free agency, so
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a heck of a season for the Red Sox. Did you expect to be in the spot where you were kind of going toe to toe with the Yankees?
I mean, kind of. I mean, I think we both in the preseason pick. I think we had them making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think making them farther than this. So this was kind of expected a playoff team. So just because I think the American League was a little weak, so we thought this was going to happen, and it was fun. It was a good season. A lot of highs and lows. Um, yeah, it was. I think this is what we expected, and I hope we can come back in the playoffs next year.
Especially after the Devers trade, I don't think anyone expected the Red Sox to kind of recoup the way they did.
Get better.
So that was
It
pretty
was.
interesting. Yeah, that's hopefully they'll reinvest the money that they're saving with Devers now, technically. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? Um, but I had the Red Sox as my World Series pick in the American League, so um,
There
yeah,
you
that
go.
didn't work. That preseason I did that, so obviously
But then
not
the playoffs, like 2 weeks ago, we had them making the ALCS.
yeah, we did. Um, but unfortunately, the road ended there. Yankees. Did you think the Yankees played a good series overall, or what? Was it more of an indictment on what Boston was doing?
I mean, they were fine. I mean,
Okay.
their pitching was good, but it was our lineup. We kind of hurt ourselves with pitching and hitting, or no, not
Yeah.
pitching, defense and hitting. That really killed us.
I mean, you think
So
about it. They had three great starts. You had Max Fried going 6 innings shutout. You had Carlos Rodon going 6 innings, 3 runs. You had Schlittler doing what he did. Um, that's those are three ace-like pitching performances in the postseason that the Yankees got, and they were just able to capitalize. So Yankees, they had themselves an okay series. I kind of agree with you. Like I thought they were good-ish, fine, but they didn't really play amazing. So obviously, we see that the real test was the next series for them.
yeah,
Uh, Next up, we got the Guardians and the
I'm doing the
Tigers.
MVP.
Oh, MVP of the series, yeah. That's right. So we'll give an MVP for each series. I'd probably say for for the Yankees Red Sox, I'd probably say Cam Schlittler. That was an unbelievable performance.
Yeah, it probably is Schlittler. That was 8 innings, 12 strikeouts, no runs. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think he was like the only pitcher ever to do that in an elimination game, which is pretty insane. Um, but I don't think any of the bats really stuck out. It kind of felt like a pitcher's duel of the series, and he was unbelievable.
No doubt.
And crazy that he's from Massachusetts. Like he went to Northeastern and all that, and just absolutely cooked against his former team or former,
Yeah.
used to be a Red Sox fan. So how did that make you feel seeing that?
It was, I know that. I mean, I know some, I think one of my high school baseball coaches like worked with him.
Wow.
Um, so that was, he knew him, so that was not good, but it definitely hurts, friendly fire.
Yeah. But
But you gotta do what you gotta do. I can't blame him.
I remember seeing a clip where Northeastern sometimes in spring training they'll match up with the Red Sox just for the experience and all that. And Cam Schlittler was pitching against Jaron Duran when he was in college, so that's pretty cool story.
Yeah, that is.
You know. Next series we have the Tigers and the Guardians. Tigers, I believe, won the series, best of three. Guardians
Yep.
had that one win in the middle, but the Tigers won the bookends. I didn't pay too much attention to this series. It was definitely, I think, it was more interesting on how they got there rather than the actual series itself, and the fact that the Tigers blew that big of a lead on the division. I think they were up like 15 and a half games at one point, and the Guardians went on to win that division. But ultimately, the Tigers, they had the last laugh. Tarek Skubal, unbelievable with the 14 strikeouts. And, you know, the Tigers, off the backs of that, were just able to take it. So they moved on to the ALDS. But, this was this interesting storylines in this series, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy how they blew that lead and just ended up losing to the Guardians. But kind of like you, I didn't pay a lot of attention to the series. It's kind of a boring series. I mean, AL Central, Detroit versus Cleveland. It's not the most exciting teams. They still had some good games. Pitcher duel in game one. Then they got to that game three, which was a little exciting, a little more offense. But yeah, Tigers just got it done, even after blowing the lead.
Yeah. What did you make of that whole saga with the Tigers completely collapsing in the second half of the season and, the Guardians taking charge and winning that division? But, the Tigers, they still were the better team on paper and they still got the job done. So,
I mean, having Tarek Skubal definitely helps. That just having that guy go game one is it's a huge advantage. So that was something we could have seen coming with the Tigers. But that fall apart was definitely shocking for a team to have that big of a lead. And it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Um, I'm sure next year they'll want to stay strong the whole year. That'll be a goal. Maybe get that first round bye.
yeah. I really think about it, and it was the trade deadline that really killed them, it felt like, where they didn't do a whole lot.
That's
And they
right.
had a good farm system, but they went out, they got Chris Paddock, they got Charlie Morton, who was ultimately cut, which is crazy. Um, and they got Kyle Finnegan, which was actually a good move, but it just felt like they didn't do enough, and that was, ultimately why they fell apart, during the regular season.
That trade deadline matters a lot. Who you get. I mean, look at the Mariners.
Yeah,
They made moves.
we'll,
Now they're in the LCS.
yeah, we'll get to them, but it was quite the failure of a trade deadline. I think people were expecting a lot more. I mean, I felt like they were in the Geno Suarez conversation to acquire, and they just didn't want to go that route, and they paid the price. They didn't capture the AL Central, so. But they did win the series. They did move on. MVP was probably.
Screwball?
It's hard. I was gonna say Scooball. It's hard not to pick Scooball for that.
I mean, 7 2/3 inning, 1 run, 14 strikeouts.
He's
Ridiculous.
insane. Is he the best pitcher in baseball?
I think so. I don't think Skeens has caught him yet.
Wow. It's such a tough conversation because all like the guys at the top of that conversation are so good, but Tarek Skubal is just he's a monster from the left side.
Yeah.
He's he's just so good. Um, so that wraps up the Tigers Guardians series. It was a fun series from the Guardians. Fun season. They showed a lot of fight. We'll talk about them. Uh, similar to the Red Sox, except like a lesser conversation. Even though the Guardians won the division. They got hot at the right time, but it just felt like the depth thinned out for them. I mean, to be fair, they didn't really expect to be in the spot, but it was just like I think someone on social media said like J Ram and friends. Jose Ramirez was really the only guy to attack in that lineup, which was
Yeah.
yeah, that was a pretty accurate description, even though it's mean. Uh, I mean, the pitching was really good. You had like a Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, Joey Cantillo really pitch well down the stretch, and they didn't have Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase for betting reasons, but yeah, the Guardians were a fun story. They got hot at the right time, but ultimately they just couldn't last in the postseason.
Yeah, like you said, they sold at the trade deadline because they didn't expect to make the playoffs.
What did they do
But
at the trade deadline? I gotta find that out.
I'm pretty sure they sold, right?
Probably. I mean, I don't think they did anything, but I'll look it up. You keep going.
Yeah, so if they did sell at the trade deadline, it's just not something you can really come back with in the playoffs that really shows up. Guys can get hot at certain times. But it really shows when you get to playoff baseball and these guys, kind of like the Red Sox, they're just not good enough hitters to face some of the best pitchers in the game. And that was really shown. And I don't really know what the next step for this Guardians team is. Did he try to get back? Is this like, okay, do we still have this? Can we still make the playoffs next year? It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Guardians.
They're kind of gonna have to decide what direction they want to go. Do you think they're gonna try and improve the roster, or maybe sell some more pieces off?
Uh, I think they try to sell. I mean, they kind of got in this position because the Tigers really fell apart. And just to, I think the Tigers still have a better team. So really to bet on that to happen again, I just don't love that odds. So I think just sell and look towards the future would be the smart move for them. What do you think?
Interesting. Yeah, at this point, I don't think there's enough on the Guardian squad where they could, try and get better. I know the pitching's really good, but they need bats, and it's hard to get bats. Via trade or free agency, bats are always going to be at a premium. So, I mean, pitching is easier to acquire just because there's more pitching available. So, the fact that the Guardians need offense, they haven't really shown us anything where they're going to try and improve the offense. So, I would kind of agree with you that they're going to maybe stand pat, sell off a little bit. And looking at what they did at the deadline, they traded Paul Sewald and Shane Bieber. So, that was the big thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, selling a reliever makes sense. And then, Bieber was the big move. Long time Cleveland Guardian. And he was coming off of injury, which was good to see. So, yeah. They didn't expect to be where they were, but yet they pulled it together. It was a great story, but ultimately not special enough. You want to go to the NL Wildcard Series next?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We'll start off. Well, I guess we'll just got to be straightforward and get this one out of the way. Not much to say here. Uh, Dodgers Reds. Um, my oh my, this was pretty lopsided. I believe the Dodgers put up double digit runs in both of these games against Cincinnati, and they won handily. They swept it, and the Dodgers they just dodgered and they beat up a way lesser team than them. Again, it was great for Cincinnati that they got there. This kind of felt like the Miami Marlins of 2022, I think, or 23.
2020.
No,
That was
what was that
COVID
year
year.
they made the postseason?
That was
They
COVID.
did make it in the COVID season, but no, there was like the Bryson Stott Grand Slam.
Really?
You don't you don't remember that?
Was that 2020? I think it was 2022. They're
I
three.
think that was 22.
I
They
don't.
were her one and done. It was that deadline where they got Josh Bell and Jake Berger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Um.
have to look back at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 2022. But Reds were a similar story. They kind of just were a little bit less worse than the New York Mets, who probably should have been in this spot. So yeah, the Dodgers handled them pretty easily, and they won the series. So I don't know how much you have to add, but that was kind of it.
Yeah, no, it was just the big bucks the Dodgers spent just beat up the Reds. That's kind of just what happened. The only series to go 2 games. That was.
Yep.
I mean, we all saw it coming. No one expected the Reds to even win a game. And it's just exactly what happened. Dodgers offense just dominated. I mean, Reds kind of scored. They scored 5 runs in game one and then 4 in game two, so the offense wasn't bad. It's
No.
just Dodgers were too much, and that was the bottom line. I mean, you knew
And
it
that
right
kind of
away. I don't know if you were watching game one, but Otani homered first debut of the game.
yes. Mm,
That kind of set the tone. We're like, okay, yeah, no, this is gonna happen.
yeah. I do remember that Otani like pretty much first pitch homer. Um, yeah. I think the Dodgers bullpen just kind of slipped up a little bit. It really hasn't been that good, but the Reds they were just overmatched, and it's kind of plain and simple. Again, another fun story. It was great to see them make it, and they were we were kind of hoping for them to see some success, and that didn't didn't happen. So yeah, although Terry Francona back at managing, made the postseason. That was also a nice storyline in that.
Yeah, no doubt.
MVP of the series. I don't. I It was only 2 games, so
Um, Otani or Betts, I think.
how did Betts do on that series?
He went game one. He was 2 for 4 with no RBIs, but game two, um, he was 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs.
Oh, but I mean Otani had that home run though. That was pretty
He
sick.
had 2 home runs game one. I think we might go Otani. He had that.
Oh, Otani
that
had 2 homers game one.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's probably Otani.
yeah, yeah. I'd probably say It's Shohei Otani.
Exactly.
He's an animal. Now we move on to the last series of the wild card round. It was Padres Cubs. That was a pretty good series. Um, Cubs did win out. They won. Uh, they won games 1 and 3, with the Padres taking game 2, and the Cubs moved on. Uh, Cubs kind of struggled coming in to the series. They got a little cold as a team. Kyle Tucker, PCA, not really living up to the hype, but they did get it done. And I thought the Padres were a little flat overall. Like they didn't really have the type of series that they should have. It felt like.
No, the offense was not where it needed to be. I mean, Fernando Tatis, he didn't look good at all the whole series. I mean, that game three, there was definitely a questionable call there at the end. I don't know if you were watching that.
Was that the
But to
Bogarts pitch? Yeah.
yep, called it strike
Mm,
three. I don't. That thing was not a strike, but
no.
the whole series, the offense really didn't do its job overall. So I don't have much sympathy. It's the top guys, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis. They were both non-existent in that entire series. So that really hurts. You're supposed two best hitters aren't performing. You're not going to win. That was kind of the bottom line for the Padres. Pitching wasn't bad. They shut out the Cubs game two. They only scored 6 runs the whole series, which is impressive. But it was kind of the offense. What do you think?
I agree. I thought the offense just wasn't there. They didn't step up for the Padres like they needed to. I mean, the pitching looked good. I mean, they built a super pen. Getting Mason Miller in there, and there were already some notable names like Robert Suarez, Adrian Morhone, probably some other names that I'm missing. I'll pull it up, but that bullpen could really take over and win games, and they did their best. It just didn't amount to anything because the offense just ghosted. So, yeah. I was disappointed in the Padres. They're probably the most disappointing team in the postseason so far, especially because we all thought that they could have made a deeper run. Right? They've been here before. They know how to compete, but not this time. It was just kind of lackluster. What was in the bullpen? Uh, Jeremiah Estrada for the Padres. Um, that's a really
Yep.
good guy. Um, David Morgan, he's been a beast this year. Robert Suarez, like I already mentioned. I mean, the Padres, they were built for postseason baseball. They had every plan of making a deep run, and it just never got off the ground. The Cubs had a pretty good series. Definitely helped that it was in Wrigley. The Cubs had that home field advantage, but yeah, the Padres were pretty disappointing, and it was tough seeing that Manny Machado presser after the game. Uh, he was asked about like how do you assess the season, and he just kind of was annoyed by the question. You could tell he was frustrated. Not how you want to see your leader act after the game and after the season ended. So yeah, Padres. There was so much more that they could have done that just never came to fruition.
Yeah, it's just another year for the Padres where they don't win it. They're always in that conversation. It's tough to see them go out this early. Usually they make a, like you said, deep run. I mean, they played the best with anyone against the Dodgers last year, so that was impressive. But this year just wasn't it. And then I don't know. Let's look at that next year. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, they certainly have some questions for the you know off season that they'll need to answer internally. And they even lengthened out the lineup. They got like a Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano from Baltimore. They got some catching help in Freddie Fermin, who not the best of players, but played well for the San Diego down the stretch. And again, they all just fell flat on their face. It was a pretty sad performance. But hey, the Cubs did their job. They played pretty well. Um, the Cubs are just a good team. I don't know if you had any takeaways for them, but
Um, I mean, talk about a little later when they don't win the next series. Um,
you're right.
they're a good team, like you said. They were hot beginning of the year, and then towards the end, guys like PCA started to cool down. But they got one series win, which is impressive. That's a big feat to get to the divisional series.
Yeah. So that's all the wild card series that we had. Um, I'll move on to the division series. We'll go back to the American League side. What do you want to start with? Yankees, Blue Jays, or Tigers, Mariners?
Let's get the good out of the way. Let's get the Yankees losing.
That's right. Yep, that's very important. And this series actually ended earlier, so we'll we'll hit on this one. Blue Jays 1-4 against the New York Yankees. It felt like they destroyed them. Blue Jays put up 10 plus runs every game. It felt like, or they did at home, and the Yankees just weren't able to answer. The Blue Jays just had a really good approach. Right, they knew how to put the ball in play. They kind of put the pressure on the Yankees defense, which is not the best, might I add. And the Blue Jays just played a really impressive game. They played the Yankees tough. The Blue Jays knew their identity the whole way, and they got some great pitching performances as well. You've had a Kevin Gausman, who was absolutely on his A game, game one, and then you had a Trey Savage, game two, 5 1/3, perfect, no hits, 11 strikeouts. Just Blue Jays were rolling from the get go, and then the Yankees did win game three. They came from behind. Maybe that built some momentum with that Aaron Judge home run off the foul pole. But, Blue Jays just put the clampers on them game four, and, they won the series. So, great to see. I know that we love seeing the Yankees lose, no doubt. They get sent home packing. Another disappointing season from New York. They did win that wild card series, which we talked about, but just couldn't get it done in the DS.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. Yankees coming off hot, beating the Red Sox. They're all high, and then the Blue Jays just absolutely destroy them. I think the Blue Jays hit like 8 home runs in this series, which is ridiculous in 4 games. So it was domination. Um, the Blue Jays offense was just too much. We were talking about the Yankees pitching last series, just was not the same. Vladdy just went absolutely bonkers. Everyone in the entire roster lineup was just so good. For the Blue Jays, I didn't watch a whole. I watched a little bit of the series, but you were just checking the scores and like, oh yeah, the Yankees have no chance. Like the Blue Jays were just simply the better team here. It was kind of like the Reds versus the Dodgers. That's kind of what we saw. And it was cute how the Yankees got that game three win, the little comeback, and then Blue Jays just shut it down game four. It was great. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction to be had. It was it was just a top to bottom effort from the Blue Jays. Really, everyone kind of contributed that was on the field. They just kind of outclassed the Yankees, and the Yankees, they had a really good roster on paper. I mean, if I'm being honest, it was a World Series caliber roster that they had, and they just can't come through. That's it. So we will continue to have the dialogue about Aaron Judge not having a ring. It's a tough conversation to have with a player of his caliber, if he's going to be the MVP or not. But, the Yankees just crumbled against the Blue Jays. They didn't have it, and they just weren't on their A game. So, yeah, it was great to see. It was great to see the Yankee downfall. No matter what they do, they always fail. Especially, watching the fans in the stands that were Yankee fans just kind of be upset. It's always funny to see, in my opinion. So, yeah, credit to the Blue Jays. They got it done. I don't like the Blue Jays, but I like the Yankees even less.
Exactly.
So,
all right.
I just remembered, we forgot to pick an MVP for that Cubs Padres wild card.
That's right. Who really stood out for the? I don't even know.
I don't know who stood out for the Cubs. To be honest, I wasn't keeping tabs on that series.
Yeah, those any good pitching performances?
I mean, Matt Boyd was getting it done. I remember that.
Was that game one?
I believe he went game one. He was the game one starter. So
only 4 innings though. That doesn't feel like MVP worthy.
He didn't go a long time, but yeah.
Nico Horner had a nice series.
Oh yeah, I remember Nico Horner making some plays up the middle. That guy is so good defensively.
Yeah, offensively he was good.
Might just be Nico Horner. That guy's a gamer. He's a scrapper.
I don't hate Nico Horner. Go Nico Horner.
Yeah.
All right.
That that guy's just the definition of a ball player. Shows up, does his job, plays his good game all around, and he's just yeah, not not much to dislike about him.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So go back to the Blue Jays series.
Yeah.
Who's our MVP there?
I mean, Vladdy had that grand slam. That was insane.
It's probably Vladdy.
Yeah, especially because he's expected to be the leader, right? He's the franchise face, and it felt like he really fulfilled that in this series. So probably go with Vladdy.
He had like 8 RBIs in that series, which is insane. So
Yeah,
it's probably
I,
Vladdy.
yeah, he went off. You had guys like Ernie Clement. You had a Kirk and Alejandro Kirk be really good. I mean, like I said, Trey Savage, 11 strikeouts, 5 in the third. Kind of the mini Cam Slittler performance. Um, the Blue Jays they had a lot of really good performances, but I think Vladdy was definitely the standout.
Yeah. All right. On to the NL. No, Mariners,
We got
Tigers.
another. Yes. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Mariners Tigers, that went 5, and the Mariners did win. They kind of disproved the bye week rest or rust, as some might say. They had the bye and they still came out guns blazing and they won. So good to see from Seattle. Detroit, they definitely made it to the series. I believe Seattle won Game 1, if I'm not
No.
mistaken. Oh no, that was Detroit. They won the Scooble start. You're right.
Yeah.
And then Seattle won Game 2, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. 3-2. Yeah.
And then they took it back to Detroit. Seattle won Game 3. And then Detroit handily took Game 4. So then that went back to Seattle. And then we had probably one of the best postseason games of all time that we're going to remember for a while. We had the 15-inning game between these two teams.
Brutal.
And, yeah. I believe you saw the end of it, correct?
Yeah, I was up till 1 a.m. watching that game, which was, I was wanting it to end. I wanted to go to bed. It just felt like no one could score. They kept on getting like first and second, no outs each team, and it was just like, oh, how do we not score there? And finally, the Mariners got it done. But it was looking back, it was definitely a good game. I mean, the entire series was back and forth. I mean, game 1 went extras, and then game 2 was a one-score game. It was a real good series by the Tigers. They put up a good fight. I think Mariners just that bullpen in the final game really just showed out. I mean, they threw some starters in there, um, but it was electric to see that. Finally, Jorge Polanco got it done, which was fun to
Yeah.
see.
That was, yeah, I remember that. Um, I fell asleep during that game, but then I woke up, so I did see the ending. Uh, that was pretty special. I think that's going to be an all-time postseason matchup right there. The fact that was an elimination game, it was the longest running elimination game in MLB history, and the Mariners came through. Pretty cool to see for them. They're trying to make it to their first World Series. They've never been, and that's a huge piece of their journey if they do get there. I think credit to the Tigers, I will say, like they put up a better fight than people gave them credit for. I think a lot of people just picked the Mariners to roll in 3 or 4, but the Tigers sent it to 5. They rode Tarek Skubal even more, and they kind of picked up the slack that they showed in the regular season. They went back to being the team that we knew they could be. Tarek Skubal just continued to shove, right? He had like 13, 14 strikeouts in Game 5. He won Game 1 for the Tigers. They were able to start the series with a victory, but, ultimately Seattle just was able to come through. It was a full team effort in Game 5, like you said. Starters coming in. It's cool to see that they were willing to do whatever it took to win, and Seattle moved on because of it.
Yeah, it was. Tigers really put up a good fight. I mean, that was as close as it could get, going 15 innings. And Terry Screwball once again. I mean, he's just unreal. I mean, 13 strikeouts in 6 innings is insane. For him, he did all he could in that final game. It's just it was bound to happen at some point. They were going to score. It's funny with the Mariners too, because I remember back in 2022, I think, when the Mariners made the wild card for the first time like forever.
Is that 18 inning game against the
It
Astros?
went 18 innings, and I watched all 18 innings, and it was also pain.
Yeah,
But they do it again. It's Mariners. They just love playing long games.
yeah,
But at least they got the win. That would have been I was rooting for the Mariners, so it would have been not fun to stay up that late and they just lose.
yeah. I mean, they went toe to toe with the Astros in that 18 inning game in 22, uh, and they wound up losing that, like you said. So they were on the right side of this one. But yeah, this was a heck of a series. A lot of great things, just a back and forth, like you said. Who would be the MVP? I think it's either Jorge Polanco or Josh Naylor. One of those two.
I, I think it's Polanco. I mean, he homered twice against Screwball in that game too,
That is
which I don't
true.
know if that's insane.
He had the walk off in Game Five.
And the walk off, yeah,
Yeah, it's
it was
probably
probably
him.
Polanco.
Although shout out Josh Naylor, he had a heck of a series. And also on the Tigers side, before we move on, Kerry Carpenter had a great series.
He did. Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, I mean that game 5, you couldn't get him out. It was
No, tough
ridiculous.
out. That guy just
Um,
tormented not the Astro, the Tiger pitching staff, or the Mariners pitching staff. He's on the Tigers. Um, he gave it his all, but ultimately, Tigers go home. It was a up and down season, and it ended in heartbreaking fashion.
yeah. All right.
I'll move on to the NL side of the bracket. We had. We'll go to the Dodgers Phillies first.
That's right. Yep.
Um, that one went 4. The Dodgers did win that series. They moved on to the NLCS. Phillies, they had the bye. I believe they were the number 2 seed
Yep.
in the NL. Yeah. No Zach Wheeler for this one. He obviously had that blood clot issue. I forget the exact name, but he was done for the rest of the year. About three-fourths of the way into the regular season, and the Phillies, they lost. I don't remember the results of the series. Hold on.
They Phillies lost game 1.
Yeah.
Then the Dodgers won game 2. I think the Phillies got that third game in LA, but Dodgers
Oh
closed it
yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah. Um, Dodgers just continued to Dodger. Roki Sasaki out of the bullpen. He was a demon. That was pretty insane. Um, Blake Snell was pitching it as well as anyone. They just kind of shut down the Phillies, which is a little bit surprising that the Phillies didn't put up more of a fight. This was kind of the World Series before the World Series, some would say. Um, but the Dodgers ultimately took it, and it ended in heartbreaking fashion, similar to the Tigers Mariners 15 inning game, except this one wasn't an extras. Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. I believe it was, or no, 11th. It was an extra innings. Orion Kirkring was in the game, has that ground ball back to the mound. He boots it, and he throws it away when he had so much time to go to first. That was really tough to watch. Just the Philly season end like that. His teammates had his back, which was pretty cool, but a crazy ending. That's gonna be a moment on the highlight tapes for a while.
Yeah, it's a tough way to end a series or a whole season for the Phillies. But that's just the way playoff baseball goes. It's just that one play. It's like, that didn't happen. We would have won that game. Um, but it was definitely unfortunate. It's just another year for the Phillies, so they don't win. And they're so close every year. I mean, Zach Wheeler going down definitely hurt them. That really, with him, this is entirely different playoffs for them. It's still a good team. Can they bring back Schwarber is a question. But they fought hard the whole season. I picked them to win the World Series, and that's not going to happen anymore.
Nope. Uh, this is a great Phillies team. It's probably going to look different next year, with given how many free agents that are going to be hitting the open market. So, do you think the Phillies window might be closing a little bit?
I think it is. Guys are getting older. Free agency's going to hit. You can't keep everyone. Um, so I don't think it's going to go well. They had good
Yeah,
chances.
they've had good chances. Yeah, they made the World Series in 22, and
Yeah.
they've just come up short every single year, which is tough. Um, MVP. Who would the MVP be?
I wasn't. Who was good this series?
I know Roki Sasaki was just he was dealing out of the bullpen.
Roki Sasaki?
Yeah,
What was his numbers?
he's pitched. He's pitched in 4 games this postseason, 5 1/3, 5 Ks, .19 WHIP.
Mm. All right. A
He
bullpen
is
MVP. You don't see that, but okay.
bullpen MVP. How about it? Or you could go with Blake Snell. He shoved in the bank, which is hard to do.
Yeah. I think. You make a
Probably one of
call.
those
You
two.
make a call.
Um, I'd probably say just because of the bullpen struggles, the fact that Sasaki was able to come through.
Okay. Sasaki then MVP.
Because you think about like a Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan struggling, um, a lot of things going wrong, and the Dodgers have so many horses in the rotation. The fact that they were able to get Sasaki in the right headspace after a tough season and just get him to start, being a weapon out of the bullpen, I think that was a huge plus for them, and it is a plus for them moving forward.
Yeah. All right.
Last series coming up.
Brewers Cubs. NL Central matchup.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give a
Brewers.
recap? Brewers got it
Yeah.
done.
Brewers did. This was another 5 game set. Um, the Cubs were trying to ride a hot hand because they obviously were already played in the wild card. Brewers had the bye. Had the best record in baseball. Um, but Cubs or the Brewers, or no, the Brewers won game 1 9-3. They won game 2, so they went up 2-0. And then the Cubs came back. They won their 2 games at home. Um, the Brewers lost 4-3, and then the Cubs won 6-0. But then ultimately the Brewers prevailed, and they won 3-1. You know, um, it was good for the Brewers. I'm happy. I'm rooting for the Brewers this postseason. The Cubs just felt like they were getting the job done. Right, they were just a really good postseason team, but they fell short. And yeah, I can't say I was keeping too many tabs on the series, but still, a good battle. That the Cubs, after going down 2-0, they sent it to Game 5, and ultimately the better team just prevailed. And the Brewers moving on to the NLCS.
Yeah, I mean Cubs going game 5 against the best team in the league is impressive. It's definitely a feat for the Cubs. They were so close, down by 2 runs in the final game. It was just, we picked the Brewers to win and kind of figured the Brewers to win. I didn't think it'd be this close. Um, like you said, good fight by the Cubs. They got that first series win and just couldn't keep it going. Yeah, I mean, I like you. I wasn't really paying a whole lot close attention to the series. I was kind of focusing on more on the Phillies, Dodgers, and then the Mariners and Tigers. Maybe and also the Yankees and Blue Jays. So it was kind of like the four series that I'm interested in. Um,
Yeah.
but still, it was Game 5, which is impressive.
Yeah. The Cubs, like I said, good run. I believe they were a 90-plus win team, 92 wins to be exact. They had a really good season, and they were making some noise in the playoffs, so credit to them. I think the Cubs can build off what they did this year and hopefully be better because I think on paper they're more talented than the Brewers, but the Brewers just they know how to, you know, be that smaller market and get the value out of their team like no other organization. That's what ultimately won out for them. So yeah, I think the interesting dialogue is what's going to happen to Kyle Tucker in Chicago. So
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Will he stay? What do you think is gonna happen with him?
uh, as much as I think they should bring him back, I think ultimately he's not going to come back.
Okay, I think he's gonna
So
stay. I think the Cubs are gonna go
you
out
think
because
he's going to?
he was so instrumental to this team. I think they're gonna bring him back.
I mean, we'll get into that conversation with free agency once the season's over. But yeah, it was a pretty good year for him in Chicago. He kind of got hurt mid year, but he got off to that rip roaring start. The Cubs were obviously hoping to win with him. They didn't make it to the World Series, but they just had a really good postseason. I thought overall, even though they lost. So yeah, I still think the Cubs deserve credit for what they did this year.
Yeah, no, they still had a great year. I mean, winning 9+ games and they were the best team in the league at one point. Um,
Yeah,
they just couldn't sustain it.
yeah. I think you kind of have to prolong the hot stretches of a PCA and stuff. Uh, maybe fortify the pitching, get some bullpen help for them, off-season conversations. But credit to the Brewers. I'm hoping that they make the World Series. We could potentially have a first-time World Series winner this year because two teams that are left have never won, which is the Mariners and the Brewers. So, hoping the best for them. Who would be the MVP of the series?
Oh, I think Jackson Trio had a good series,
Jackson.
right?
Yeah, he's a good player. Oh wow, 1088 OPS, a homer, 6 RBIs, and 18 at bats.
Yeah,
I
he
know
was pretty good.
Mizurowski had a good series too, but that's a bullpen guy. Um, oh yeah, Mizurowski, 2 games, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1.29 ERA. He won 2 games, so that's pretty good as well. Who do you
Um,
think is the better performer?
I'd probably give it to Churio.
I was gonna say because the offense, like we know the pitching's good for Milwaukee, but the offense, they need a guy like Churio to step up.
He absolutely did that.
He did. Postseason performer. He went off last postseason too.
Yeah, he hit 2 home runs
Yeah,
last
in that
postseason.
wildcard series against the Mets last year.
Yeah.
That was kind of put his name on the map. Anyway, that's it. That's all that's happened the postseason. Uh, we've had the Mariners and the Blue Jays play a game. The Mariners won 3-1, so they're up 1-0. But we'll recap all that action once the series is over. The Dodgers and the Brewers start play tonight, as of when we recorded this. So, 4 teams left. Um, should we give any predictions as we wrap up?
Sure. Um, American League, Mariners, Blue Jays. I mean, Mariners won game 1, so that's kind of cheating a little bit. But I'm riding with the Mariners. I watched the game last night. Mariners are my team. I
Mm,
got connections to Seattle.
yep.
Um, so I'm picking the Mariners.
I'll pick the
And
Mariners as well. I don't want to see the Blue Jays win. So yeah,
Yeah. And then in the
I want to see
National
Seattle
League,
make a World Series. They've never done that.
they've never done that, and it's been like
Yeah,
forever since they made the ALCS.
I know.
So a lot of postseason success for them.
Both teams in the ALCS, interestingly enough, my dad pointed this out. They both came into the league in 1977
There you go.
as expansion teams. So pretty interesting.
All right.
Now the NL. This is a full series that we can predict.
Ooh, I think the Dodgers are just the better team. I know the Brewers won more games, but it's just they're the defending champs. That lineup still it looks good this postseason. Even though bullpen's a little shaky, the stars looking good. If they got Roki Sasaki, being how good he is, I think they got a good chance of winning. So I'm picking the Dodgers.
I'm gonna roll with the Brew Crew. I think that because they've already won one series, they normally haven't been able to get over that hump. I have a feeling this is just their year. I think they can do it. I have some faith.
All right, all right.
I'm gonna stick by my prediction of a Brewers Mariners World Series.
That's right. That's your prediction.
It
That
is.
might come.
Yeah. Could come true.
Exactly. All right.
So that's it. We'll bring you more recaps once the championship series and World Series are over. We're in the home stretch, folks. Enjoy the postseason baseball. It's been a lot of fun. It's been quite the postseason. Brendan, last thoughts before you head out?
No, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Um, I'm go Mariners. That's what I'm rooting for now. I hope they win.
Is that your postseason team?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I've watched the last two games of them, so I'm invested now.
Okay. Okay. I'd probably say Brewers. I'm rooting for the Brewers to make it happen. Oh, why? I just like the Brewers.
All right.
So
Well, you've been to
that's it.
Milwaukee.
That's all we got for what
You've been to Milwaukee, right?
I have. The Brewers and Cubs played in that last series. I've seen both of those teams play in Wrigley and AmFam. So, but yeah, that was a fun trip last summer. But yeah, I've always liked the Brewers. Me and my dad, like he's always thought well of the Brewers. I kind of took on that. So yeah, I don't know. Brewers are just a cool team. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Everything you need is in the description, and with that, we'll see you next time.